Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I'm out at the Archlinux website because I'm going to load in Archlinux and install the Cinnamenu desktop. But instead of doing it the right way, where you go out to the Archlinux user guide and follow the user guide, I'm going to install it the lazy bum way by using the ArchInstaller and taking it by the seat of your pants. Yeah, I know that's not what the good guys do, but this is in response to 37 poll, and he had requested, "Hi Jack, thank you for the wonderful and informative video." You're welcome. It will be nice to review in the future the new ArchInstaller, and especially Cinnamon Edition. Thanks. Well, you got it. I'm going to do just that. So I'm going to download the Arch ISO here from the website just by clicking on this guy, and once I get the Arch ISO, I'm gonna burn it onto a stick, load it in, and then we're gonna install it using the ArchInstaller. I don't have a whole lot of experience with the ArchInstaller, so this ought to be kind of fun. And like I said, I'm gonna totally ignore the guide, which I don't recommend, but let's just use the installer. I think it's a text-based installer, and so if I can find the right spot here, I think here we go. Yeah, this is the download area here. So here we got a torrent link right here, and so that's the recommended way to get it. And so I'm just gonna stick this magnet link into my torrent client, grab the ISO, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and I got the Arch distro loaded in and booting into it right now. So I'm gonna just let this boot. And then I think what it's going to do is it's going to take me to the console terminal, so I can just let this kind of do its thing here. And then I should end up at a little login at the terminal here. And here we go. So we got our prompt here, so we're in as root. And I believe the installer is simply ArchInstaller. And as you can see up above, it's showing that they recommend following the installation guide, which I do too. So I'm typing in ArchInstall, and I think that's going to launch it. And it did, yes. So okay, it looks like it's got some things filled in by default already. So we got English and US as our region, our keyboard layout, and then our mirror region. I'm gonna hit enter here, and here it gives us a whole list of regions. And so I think I can just arrow down with my arrow key. So I'm just gonna do that and find the US. Oh, okay, I guess I could have just arrowed up. It would have been quicker. So there's the US, so now I'm gonna hit my space bar, and that should check it, which it did. Excellent. And so now I'm gonna just press enter. I think that'll kind of get me back there, and it did. Good. I wasn't sure, I just kind of went with it. All right, so now we got our locale encoding, which I think I'll leave at the default. And so drives, I believe we got to select that, so I hit enter. And so then we have 8 gig partition and a 65 gig. And I think maybe to keep things simple, I'm just going to select the 65. So I'm going to use my down arrow key here and just arrow to the next one down, and then hit my space bar to check it, and then go back by hitting enter. And then we got our bootloader, swap, host name, and I guess Archlinux is good. I could change that if I wanted to just by hitting enter there. And then a root password, I want to set that, so I hit enter again. Then I'm just going to type in a password, and then it says it's a pretty lame password. Are you sure? Yeah, I'm sure, it's good. But you might not want to use a lame one. And then type it in one more time, and that looks good. So now we got to give ourselves a user account name, so I'm going to press enter, and then type in a username. We'll just go with the usual Toadwick, and then we'll give it a password. I'm going to use the same password. Again, it's telling me lame, but that's okay. I'll go with yes, and then I'm going to type it again because this is just a demo anyway. And then I'm going to say yes. I would like Toadwick to be a super user. I want to have sudo privileges, and then that all looks good. So it's showing sudo privileges and my username, and so I'm going to just confirm and exit, and that'll bring me back here to the main menu. And then for profile, I'm just going to hit that, and here's where we can set our desktop setting. Nice. So that's the profile I want to go with, is the desktop, but you can also choose minimal, server, or minimal Xorg, but I'm going to definitely go with desktop. And here we got our choices, and there's Cinnamon. So I'm scrolling down, I'm going to press enter, and then it's asking for a graphics driver. In this case, I would just kind of go with the VMware, but on my daily driver, I would choose the Intel because that's what I'm using for my graphic driver on that machine. However, if you're using NVIDIA, then of course you want to choose one of the NVIDIA options there. So I'm going to go with VMware, and then audio drivers, I'm going to hit that, and Pipewire is a default, so that works with me. PulseWire is a good option if you don't want to use Wayland, but either way, actually Pipewire is good. And so now I'm going to just leave the kernel at the default for Linux, and then additional packages. So here you kind of want to know what you're going to install. Of course, all the major things are going to be installed already by default, but if you want to add some things like Firefox, which I'm adding here, or any kind of other stuff like maybe GIMP, that's a drawing program I like, and then Inkscape, another graphics program I like. Actually, GIMP's not a drawing program, it's more of a photo manipulation program, but you know. So yeah, I can't really think of anything else off the top of my head. Maybe an Office suite like OnlyOffice. I don't know if that's just OnlyOffice or if there's like -bin or something. I don't know. We'll just try that. And then maybe KeePass XC. I like KeePass. That's a really nice password manager. So I just put those in there just to have something. And so, yeah, I didn't like the name of OnlyOffice, but that's not a big deal because that's something I can just install later after everything else is installed. So I'll just go with the rest and have the Firefox, GIMP, Inkscape, and KeePass. And now our network configuration, that I don't think we really have to worry too much about because we're already on the network. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. But anyways, here it's showing copy ISO network config to installation, and I'm going to go with that because that's what we're using right now by default. And then our time zone, here I want to go find America/New York, and I used my down up arrow, but I think down is better in this case. And let's go down America, there it is, New York. So I got to go back up. There we are. Okay, so America, New York, that works for the Eastern time zone. And then I guess I could use multi-lib. I'll add that too. That lets you load in 32-bit as well as 64-bit libraries when you install stuff. And then that's our user configuration, just kind of looking at it. And I don't think I really need to do anything there. So I'm just going to back out of this. I'm going to hit my escape key because I didn't really want to go in there. I don't really want to save it anywhere. So just back up and then install. But it says one config is missing. So I must have skipped a step somewhere up the menu there. So let's see what that is. Oh, disk layout. I didn't put a layout there. So, okay, so if I go in here, select what to do with each individual drive, or wipe all selected drivers and use best effort default partition layout. I think I'll just go with that. Let's see what's in here, the default, I mean. And here it's kind of got it all laid out for me. That looks good. I'm just going to go with suggest a partition layout. And here it's asking me if I really want to remove these and erase everything, and by default it says no, but of course I do, so I'm changing it to yes. And then here we can choose our partition type like Btrfs. I'm going to go with the ext4 on that. Would you like to create a separate partition for home? Yes. So I'm going with that too. So okay, now we got a separate home partition. I like that option by default. So I'm saving all that. So now it's showing disk and layout as 3 partitions, and that's cool. So now I just hit install, and now it's showing the whole layout, which is all this stuff. So I'm going to hit enter, and now it should start doing all its stuff. And if I didn't really screw up somewhere, it ought to work. And if it doesn't work, then I'll have to start over again. But I think it'll work. So I'm going to let this do its thing, and then I guess I'll just pause right here, and I'll come back when it's all done. Okay, and about less than a minute went by, and I unpaused it just because it looks kind of cool the way it's all doing this stuff in the console. So I just wanted to give you another quick look at what it looks like while it's installing, because it is quite different than a graphical installer like what you'd see in most distros when you're in the GUI. But this is kind of cool, and it almost makes me feel like I know what I'm doing. Okay, and I paused and unpaused because it's been about 5 minutes now. And do you want chroot? Yes. So I'm just going to go with the default yes, and that's it. So yeah, I think maybe around 5 minutes or so it took. Didn't take that long at all. Just racing by, and it says completed without any errors. You may now reboot. So I'll just hit reboot here, and then I think it's going to take me back to here, but I can just select boot existing OS. So I'm going to do that because I still got the thumb drive plugged in virtually. And then Archlinux, so far so good. We got a grub screen there. I'm liking it, and there's our login. So just log in here, and with a little luck, we'll see something other than an error message. All right, very cool. There's our Cinnamon desktop, just a black background right now, which is okay. And there's our Cinnamon menu, and it all looks kind of flat and generic right now because this is really a bare bones install. Nothing on here but the essentials, and not any theming either. So that's one reason. That's the reason why the Cinnamon menu looks so plain and way different than probably what you've seen in like Linux Mint or some other Linux-based distro. But we'll fix that. So yeah, very nice. So I'm going to hit, let's see, I probably want to go into my settings first. And I think the settings icon is not there yet because, not visible because we don't really have a good theme yet. So I'm just going to select system settings there in the menu, and then I'm going to scroll down and change our display settings. And then here under our resolution, I'm going to change to 1920 by 1080 and then hit apply, and that looks good. So I'm going to keep that. Excellent. So now we got a cool resolution, and here's our stuff here and our menu again. I'm going to slide up a little bit too. And so here's our folder, and wow, it looks really plain, doesn't it? But that's Nemo, I think, that we got opened up here. And so again, we got all the basics here. Oh, even HTOP by default. Nice. So if I go in here and open up HTOP, let's see what we got here on a bare bones install. So wow, that's impressive. About 689 megs there, it looks. That is really good. Sweet. Okay. So if we go into our preferences here, I guess we can kind of start with maybe looking at our themes. So I'm going to go in here and maybe we'll just get a background so we can get away from that blackness. And so it's got a bunch of default folders here. It looks like we can just kind of choose something, and a lot of basic ones actually. Nothing to write home about yet, but let's go with maybe brushstrokes. I think that might work out of those choices, but we'll add some more of those a little bit later too and try to get a better choice of backgrounds. But for now, I think this ought to cover it. Excellent. Then we got our background settings. So very good. Okay, that looks a little bit more like a civilized desktop. And then over here we got our clock, speaker, and then let me slide out of the way here. So now if I click that on that, there we go, that's better. There's our calendar and other things there, power button. Okay, so back in our main menu, this is our Cinnamon menu. And then here we got our panel settings. So if I click on Applets, I can see the applets that are in the panel right now by default. And so this is how the panel is set up. And so we can manage any of these applets here. And then we got downloads, so if we want to add other things like the weather, there's a nice weather app. And Cinnamenu is something I really like too. I actually like that better than the original Cinnamon menu, but that's optional. You really don't have to add that in. But I think I will, just to kind of fancy things up a little bit and to show you how to do it. And then let's add in our weather too. And I like that Radio Plus app. That's kind of cool that that's in there. I like Tray radio apps, you know, it's like kind of cool. A nice alternative to Spotify or something, you know. So I add that in as well. So now if we want to make those appear, we got them all downloaded. So all I do now is hit the plus button to add these in. And so that added in that, and then again press the button and then select weather. Select plus button, and so now you can see they all have check marks next to them and they have appeared down in the panel. So if I close that, now you can see the weather app right here, and not sure what town that is, but that's okay, that's cool. And that's a confirmation dialog to download stuff. That's for Radio Plus there. So that's downloading some radio station info. And then there's our Cinnamenu. And of course, I don't want to leave it there, but that's kind of an idea of what it looks like. It's got a nice grid layout and everything. That's really cool. And so I'm going to go over here and put panel into edit mode. That way I can slide the Cinnamenu all the way to the end there. And then our regular menu, I could just take that out of there. I can hit remove and select yes, and that'll come right out of there. And of course, I can put it back in just as easily too. I just took the panel out of edit mode there. And now we have our Cinnamenu, which looks pretty cool, but it'll look even cooler after we theme it up a little bit. But in its basic no theme setting right now, it already looks pretty decent. Nice. So there's our system settings, and you can see it has no icon, just like it had no icon in the other menu. But if we go in here, there's our effects, but here's our theming. And by default, there's really nothing. We just got the Adwaita and high contrast for our icons. And then if we go down here to our desktop, just the the flat cinnamon kind of look there, but no real themes to speak of yet. But we can hit here, add remove, and it'll give us all kinds of choices we can download. I think for now, I'll just maybe pop in the Nokia and the C Black and just kind of add those in. And what do we got under settings? Let's see, show icons and menus. Yeah, I think that's all right. Why not? And show icons on buttons. Why not? Those are optional, of course, but okay, now we didn't get any additional icon themes, so I'll have to kind of come back. But here we got our other themes. So that kind of changed our menu and our bottom panel. Don't think that'll change up here though. Yeah, so we're still in a light theme there, but this is a good start. And C Black, I kind of like that even better. That's like not quite so overwhelmingly black. So I'll kind of go with C Black for now. That's a good start. And then I'm going to go in our panel and do a sudo pacman -syu. That way we can kind of update everything. I think it's probably already up to date, but yeah, okay, so I'll hit yes. This will kind of synchronize our repositories and everything anyway. So we'll just kind of do that. And possibly missing firmware. I think you can get rid of that warning. That warning doesn't really mean much, but we can just go sudo pacman -s linux -firmware, and it looks like it's already installed, so. But I'll do it again. But that's really nothing. If you see that, nothing to worry about. Now I'm going to do sudo pacman ss yaru. Okay, how about yay? I want to install the Yaru Icon Theme. So we don't have yay installed, I don't think. So let's do yay and Pamac-aur. Actually, neither one of them are available there. Yeah, you got to get yay through GitHub, I believe. Okay. So let's see, I want to get my Yaru icon themes. I'm going to make this bigger so it's easier to see. Let's do sudo pacman -s S needed base development and see if, I think that was installed by default, but let's, base devel, sorry. And yep, that was already installed. I thought I saw that during install, but now I know for sure. So now let's do sudo pacman -s git, and we'll install git, because we're going to need git on here so we can do a git clone. And I'm going to open up the browser here and put a search in here for yay GitHub, or git repo maybe would be better. And yeah, that link looks good. So here it's kind of showing us the git clone URL right here. So I'm going to click that, and when I click that, that'll automatically copy it to my clipboard, because that's like a read-only link, which is pretty cool. So now I can go in here and I can type in git space clone space, and then I'm going to right click and paste in that link, hit enter, and it should have copied that whole folder into my home folder. So now if I do a cd yay -git, there it is. So there's a package build in there, so I'm going to back out of that and then do a listing, and there's our yay git folder. And I see that it's owned by Toadwake. I just wanted to make sure that that was owned by me and that it wasn't a root folder, so that's good. So I'm going to go back into it, cd yay -git, and then I want to do a make pkg -si, and that should build it for us and install it as well. Except it didn't. Oh, those are supposed to both be lowercase letters, not, I did an uppercase S. So let's make that lowercase s, lowercase I, and that should work. I was like conditioned when I use Pacman, I always use the uppercase S, so it just kind of had me thinking there. Okay, that's better. So I'm going to hit Y. Actually, I could just hit enter because that's the default, but Y is good. So now it's going to do its install. It's written in Go language, I can see. So it's installing Go. And now it's going to build yay for us. That's cool, because then yay will give us an easy way to access the AUR. And so I'm just going to hit Y for yes. And that should do it. So now if I type in yay, then yay, it works. So that synchronized yay and got it kind of updated there in the config. So now I'm going to do yay and -s Pamac-aur, and that'll let us install the GUI, the GUI package manager, and just go with the default. Well, actually that was not the default, but that's okay. And yes, so typically you just hit enter on those other questions and it'll just take you right through it. All right, now it's building its thing, so this shouldn't take too awfully long. And then once it's done building our Pamac, then we'll have a graphical package manager. Yay! Although I use typically the console when I install stuff, because for me it's just faster, but I know for most people, they probably prefer the GUI. Now I'm going to do yay and then Yaru and see what it can find for Yaru themes. And there we go. So the Yaru Icon Theme, I think that's what I want, is number 2. And that should install the theme itself too, I think. Yeah, the Humanity Icon Theme, Yaru, and Yaru Icon. So I think that's going to give me the whole works there. So just went with the defaults again, and we'll just kind of let that build. And when this is done, we should have the Yaru theme and the GUI package manager. That'll really get us looking like we have an OS. So I'm going to let this do its thing. I don't know how long this is going to take, but just in case it takes a long time, I think I'll hit pause and kind of let it do its thing. Okay, it's all done. And so that all went well, I think. And so let's go in here, go over to our settings. And now if we go into themes, we should see a lot more. So I'll just jump over here, click on that. When I click this, yeah, there we go. A whole bunch of options. Nice. And we got all these cool colors, greens and purple and blue and all that. So I think I'll go with the purple there. Yeah, that looks better. That's what I like to see. And then under our themes, that's all the same. But if we go up to here, our controls, we got other solutions, other options. So now if we go to controls, I hit the C black and that changes to the dark theme. I guess I could have done that before, but I didn't really think about it. But now, yes, that looks way better. Now we got a nice theme up here. Our buttons look cool. That is looking way better. So this is more like kind of a cinnamon that makes me happy to see. And I think I'll just leave the cursor the way it is. Don't want to mess that up. And I like the buttons up there in the window buttons. So I don't think I'd change that. But that is way better. That's a big step right there. So getting those icons in and setting the controls to dark, to the C black, I like that. So now let's do this. Let's type in, let's go to our search menu here and open up Pacman. I think that would just be maybe add, remove, I think is how they have it titled. There we go. So type in add and it brings it up in the filter. And there it is. And look at that. We don't have anything. No packages found. Okay, so yeah, it should be loading packages here, and I think that has something to do with Appstream, maybe. It's probably not installed because I'm not seeing it there anywhere. So I think that's what we got to do next, or first. Like, let me go into our settings real quick before that. And it's just going to kind of download stuff here when I go. Yeah, nothing there. So looks like I got to install the Appstream. And there's our update settings, and that all looks good. I'm going to change this to every day, and then our concurrent downloads and all that are good. And there's third party. I like to turn on enable AUR too, so I'm going to have that enabled. And typically I would put this temp folder in the home folder and point to it, but no need this time. And that's just because I like having builds go into the home folder, but it really doesn't matter in most cases. So yeah, nothing there. I'm going to go ahead and jump out onto the console here and just add in the Appstream, and I think that's going to solve that problem. So just click that, jump down here, and then do sudo pacman -S Archlinux Appstream-data. So this should download that Appstream-data. So I'll just hit yes, and I could just hit enter, but I always do that. Okay, so that downloaded the Appstream-data, and I think that's going to fix it. So let's just go open that back up again, and there it is. Yay! Wow. All right, so we got that going, and that's what we should see here when we open up Pamac, and that's looking good, so I like it. And there's VLC. I think I'll just install that too, because installing VLC is going to give me all the codecs I need too. So that's kind of a way to get a cool video player and all your codecs in one shot. So I'm going to go with that and let it install. And it looks like Pamac is working just fine. Great. And it looks like it needs a restart. So yeah, I'm good with that. After doing the Appstream-data and all those codecs, it's kind of due for one, I guess. And pretty fast reboot. I like that. And I'm floating because there's no bottom panel. There we go. Much better. Okay. So yes. So if I right click here and select backgrounds, let's see if we can get some more interesting backgrounds in here. So let's see. Maybe I'll go back into I'll type in add. Oh, there it is right there. So yeah. So let's type in wallpapers and see what we got to choose from here. This is just kind of a quick and dirty way to just maybe grab some extra wallpapers. And I don't know what that is. All users club. Not familiar with that, but I'll select it anyway. Not sure there's anything in there that I would use, but I will go with it. And then authenticate. And I think there's some other choices too. I didn't really give it a chance, but we'll just come back to that real quick. Let's type in wallpapers again and just kind of see what our other options are here. Oh, there's some deepen wallpapers. Nice. Deepen community. And I think the deepen wallpapers themselves, let's try the community, kind of see what's in there. I can't remember which one's better. Probably the regular deepen because I chose community. Oh well. Okay, so let's right click, go to desktop settings again, backgrounds, and I don't see a deepen in there by default. So let me hit the plus here, and I might have to go to other locations, computer, then user or USR, and share. And then, let's see, backgrounds I think is where we were, but yeah, there's that all users club thing. And these are the backgrounds that we were looking at, the defaults, I think. So the deepen must have put it maybe in a folder called wallpaper, I would guess. It probably made something to that effect. There it is, wallpapers and deepen. So cool. So let's open that up. And there's our deepen folder. So I'm going to select it. Yeah, that's better. Not a ton of pictures, but hey, it's a start. At least it's better than a generic stuff. And that's kind of dark, but that looks pretty good. Yeah, I think that might get us by, you know, kind of the deepen defaults, I guess. So yeah, for the sake of not being too long-winded, let's just kind of go with that one. That'll work. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. So now it looks like we kind of got a real desktop finally, but I think we still got some more tweaking to do. So let's see what else we can do. So back in the menu, I'm going to go up here and just kind of look at what we got. There's our KeyPass, our Inkscape, GIMP. That's all stuff that we typed in at the beginning when we were installing. And then graphics tablet, we got sound and video. There's our VLC that we installed through Pamac. And then admin settings, our print settings and all that we can access here. Users and groups, our terminal. And in our preferences, of course, these are always important. There's our effects, and these are pretty much the stuff that you see in your system settings panel when you open that up. Got our themes and all that. So this is kind of where you can get quick access to individual aspects or components of that area. And then, of course, we got our places and recent files and our home folder. Excellent. And then Office. Actually, we don't have an Office suite, do we? Because it kind of rejected OnlyOffice. Yeah, I don't know what that OnlyOffice was called, the file name. So instead of doing it through the console, maybe I'll just open up the GUI there, add remove software, and I can go in the search and type that in. So let's type in OnlyOffice. Yeah, let's specify OnlyOffice instead of Office, I think. We can also, just to be thorough, we can also go into our productivity category, and you can kind of choose productivity software this way. But I prefer just using the search because to me it's just faster. So let's try Only, and there's OnlyOffice. Yeah, so it's OnlyOffice-bin. I kind of suspected that, but now I know for sure. Okay, so that looks like our best choice here. So I'm going to select OnlyOffice-bin and hit that. And then those are all our dependencies and files that go with it. Going to authorize it. And then this should install pretty quick, and then we'll have an Office suite. So almost every distro needs an Office suite. So there we go. Let's see. Where is it at? Oh, it's not installed yet. What am I doing? Pay attention, Jack. Okay, so OnlyOffice should be installed here any second now. And while that's doing its thing, I'm going to add a couple other things. I'm just going to, in the console here, type in sudo pacman -S ristretto. That's a graphics viewer. And then libheif. Libheif is a library that allows you to see .heic picture files. Those are the kind of files like I have on my iPhone. So if I want to be able to see those type of files, installing libheif will allow you to see those in your picture viewer. So ristretto is a picture viewer, and I noticed we didn't have any graphics viewer there when I was thumbing through. And I'm also going to add an events. This is a PDF file viewer, so that way you can look at PDFs. And so then I can just let that install. And so it should install all three of those, and see how fast that was? That's why I like the GUI. So go up here. I mean, that's why I like the terminal. So there's our ristretto image viewer, and there's our events document viewer. So you can see PDF files. Very nice. And you can see there's our settings icon. So that's all back. So it's really starting to look really good now that we got our theming kind of under control. And these are our Cinnamenu settings. I kind of noticed that the categories weren't changing by hover. So in order to do that, I'm going to go here where it says activate categories on click, and I want to turn off that because I don't want it to activate when I click. I just want it to activate when I hover. So now if I go here, now they're all changing just by hovering over these categories. And that's the way I like it. That's my personal preference. So by turning that toggle off, that's how you get it to do that. Nice. Okay, so now that we got a auto scrolling, now that we got categories that change by hovering, that's cool. So let's open up OnlyOffice, and I'm also going to add that to the desktop so we have something on our desktop. And so now I'm going to right click and select, let's see, where is it at? Customize. I want to customize our desktop here a little bit. So if you go in here, there you can auto arrange your icons if you like, and that's auto arranges by default. But here I can click on desktop settings. And in our settings, we can add other things on our desktop, like a computer, our home folder. If I want to put it in the rubbish bin, I can put that there, and it shows right up. And then we got our mounted devices and network. I usually leave them off by default. So there you go. Now we can add a little extra things in there, and that kind of spices up our desktop a bit. And I kind of like having the home folder and so forth up there, so that's good. That kind of makes it a little more homey, like dressing up an empty apartment. So here's OnlyOffice, and we got presentation, which is an equivalent to PowerPoint, and then of course spreadsheet is equivalent to Excel, and document to Microsoft Word. So if we open up spreadsheet here, you can see that it's just beautifully laid out, and these will actually save your documents as a docx file, which is the default for Microsoft Office. So these are really compatible with Microsoft Office. So if you create this Excel web spreadsheet and share it with somebody else that's running Office, they shouldn't have any problems with it. However, I noticed something kind of weird here. There's no home folder, no music folder, no pictures and all that. Where's all that? It's just empty. Nothing there but a desktop folder, our Yay Git folder that we created, and then our document. Well, what we got to do is we want to update our CDG settings here, or XDG, I mean. So XDG user hyphen DIRS hyphen update, and that should update our user DIRS config not found. Oh, okay. Sudo pacman hyphen uppercase S XDG hyphen user hyphen DIRS. We got to install that. So we're going to install that, going to hit Y, and now we can run the update. So I just hit my up arrow key to bring that back. Now it updated it, and there we are. Yay! So now we have all our directories. So that's how you kind of get all those back. Now let's put them in the side pane. So I'm going to take the documents here. If you notice, if you right click, you can't, there's no shortcut to side pane. So I'm just going to drag it, and then just take this one and drag it, and it makes a little line underneath where you're dragging it to. So you just kind of use that line as your guide. You're going to take pictures and put that under music, and then finally videos, I'll put that under pictures. So there we go. Now in our side pane, we got all those shortcuts as well to get to these folders. So yeah, that's the way I like it. And then I'll just take this and drag it into documents, and that's a lot prettier. Now we got that where it should be, in my book anyway. So there we go. That makes our whole folder layout more civilized. So that was probably really the last major thing we had to do, was to get those home folders in there, the pictures and music and all that. Back in here, just to kind of go over some of the settings, here we can add an avatar for our picture. Like you could put a custom one in there, or you can go up here and choose one of these pre-made ones, like maybe the baseball, that's cool, or the guitar, maybe even cooler. I'll go with that. So I'm going to go back, and then other items. These are all your standard, really cinnamon settings here. Anything else I don't think is real essential to change. Just scroll down here, and then we got our display settings, our keyboard settings. In here, I would kind of leave these all at their defaults. There's where you can add keyboard shortcuts right here, and it's got the defaults in there already. And then your mouse settings. So if you're a lefty, you can switch it right there. You can make your scroll go in the opposite direction and all that, and drag and drop. So again, personally, I just leave all that at the default. It's all good. And then touchpad settings, if you have a touchpad, like on a laptop. And so here's our system info, and it's kind of giving us a rundown. We're running Arch Linux with our Cinnamon version 5.4.2, and our kernel, we're running the newest kernel, 5.18.7 is the time of this video. So that's all our system settings, just a quick run through there. Nothing in there that really desperately needs change. So that kind of covers that. And then these are our desktop and window effects. And again, personally, I like all the defaults, so I don't typically change anything there. Excellent. So I'm going to close that. And then I'll take this and change it back to its home folder. That's looking pretty. Maybe close out the terminal here and just kind of slide that up a bit. There we go. So, wow, I think we got through it all. And so there you go. That's the lazy bum way to install Arch Linux from the original Arch ISO. And so that wasn't so hard, was it? Yes. Thanks 37 Poll. I'm glad you suggested that. This was a really fun video to make. I really enjoyed this. Now we got ourselves an Arch install, all clean with Cinnamon. And depending on how you want to interpret it, some might call it bare bones, but we added our own stuff. So we kind of built it our way, but the lazy way, instead of the Arch way through the install guide. But I really like the Arch ISO installer. I think it's really nice. I think they still consider it experimental, but I think it works great. I love it. I didn't have any problems with it at all. And here we got a really beautiful Cinnamon desktop right off the bat without having to do too much. And we could even rice it up more if we wanted to, but I thought this would kind of get you off and running. So I hope this was helpful in that respect, because you know, once you get all the basics down, like your home folders and package manager and all that, and the background theming, you know, those are kind of the essential staples that you got to deal with even after using an Arch ISO install. And of course, if you know what to put in, you can type, you know, those themes in when you're installing Arch through the installer. You know, when we were adding in Firefox and Inkscape and GIMP, I could have also added in the Yaru Icon Theme. Well, no, I guess not, because we had to do that through Yay, the AUR. So maybe that wouldn't have worked. Maybe it would have, though. I don't know. I guess you can always try and find out. But anyways, I really like the Arch ISO installer. I enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. And now we got ourselves a nice, clean, stable Cinnamon desktop, and it just looks beautiful. And I think part of the reason it looks beautiful is because, well, I feel like I created it. It's kind of like when you're doing a piece of art and it's yours. You know, sometimes it looks better to you than everyone else. And to me, this looks nice, so I like it. And with that, I hope this was helpful, informative, and possibly entertaining. And if it was, don't forget to leave that thumbs up and hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.